The terminal was buzzing with the usual chaos of rolling suitcases, flight announcements, and weary travelers glued to their phones. Ethan Moore stood near gate 23, staring out at the tarmac through the wide glass windows. He wasn't flying anywhere, he hadn't flown in years. He just liked to come here sometimes, watch the planes come and go, and imagine what it would feel like to leave everything behind. He stuffed his hands into his coat pockets and took another sip of coffee, letting the bitter taste keep him awake. That's when he saw her. A young woman, probably no more than 22, clutching a baby in one arm and dragging a beat-up duffel with the other. Her hair was messy, her coat too thin for the winter wind that howled outside. She walked quickly, head down, like she didn't want to be noticed. But the baby, that tiny little boy, noticed everything. His big brown eyes scanned the terminal, and when they fell on Ethan, the child let out a soft, gurgling laugh. Ethan blinked. The woman flinched at the sound, glanced up, and locked eyes with him for just a second before looking away and walking faster. But something about that laugh, about the way those innocent eyes lit up, anchored Ethan to the spot. He couldn't help himself. "Ma'am," he called gently. "Hey, excuse me." She froze, barely turning her head. "I'm sorry," Ethan said, walking closer. I didn't mean to scare you. Your little guy just reminded me of my son." His voice cracked on the last word, though he tried to hide it. Her expression softened, but her shoulders stayed tense. "He likes to smile at everyone," she said quietly. "Smart kid," Ethan replied. "That smile's a gift." For a long beat, they just stood there, strangers in a sea of noise. And then Ethan noticed her hands, red from the cold, trembling slightly. He noticed the stain on her duffel bag, the worn-out soles of her shoes. And he noticed the way she kept glancing at the departure board, eyes darting nervously from gate to gate. "You running from something?" he asked softly. Her eyes filled with tears. She hugged her baby tighter. "From someone," she whispered. Ethan swallowed hard. That hit close to home. His own wife had walked out years ago, taking their son and never looking back. He'd spent a long time wishing he'd done more to help her instead of judging her for leaving. Now here stood another woman, young, scared, alone. "Look," he said after a moment. "I don't know your story. And I'm not here to pry. But you don't have to do this alone." She shook her head. "You don't even know me." "You're right," Ethan admitted. "But I know what it feels like to lose someone you love because you thought they didn't have anyone on their side. I won't let that happen again." She stared at him, and for the first time he saw her guard slip. "I don't even have money for the ticket," she confessed. I was just gonna sit in the bathroom until I figured something out. I can't go back to him." Ethan's chest tightened. Without a word, he reached into his wallet and pulled out a stack of bills, more than enough for her flight and then some. Her eyes widened. "No, I can't take that." "Yes, you can," he interrupted gently. "For him." He nodded at the baby. The little boy looked up at him and giggled again, as if he understood. Her lip trembled. Then she crumpled into the nearest seat, clutching her baby, and sobbed. Ethan sat beside her and rested a hand on her shoulder. He didn't say much. He didn't need to. When her flight was called an hour later, she stood up, turned to him, and whispered, "You saved us today." Ethan smiled faintly. "No," he said. "You saved yourself. I just reminded you that you could." As she walked toward the gate, she turned back one last time. And that little boy, still in her arms, reached his tiny hand toward Ethan, as if to say thank you. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt something warm break through the fog of his own loneliness. Sometimes, he thought, it's the smallest hands that help you hold on. Kindness costs nothing, but to someone in need, it can mean everything.